Today, since we're finishing our NWEA testing, if you're already done, you're going to work on some of these review problems, sharpen your skills, and then if you finish NWEA, you're going to work on these as well. So first thing you're going to do is write down these 3 integer problems that you see and try all 3 of them. Remember to use the rules. Read the problems. So for example, number 1, negative 20 plus 17. When you hear yourself say plus, you know this is an addition problem. So make sure you use the rules for integer addition. Do the same thing for number 2 and number 3. And as you see the selections pop up on the screen, you're going to answer the question on your paper, show the work on your paper, and make sure you answer it on the screen. This is a graded assignment, so make sure you are showing your work you're going to turn in. Don't use a calculator. Try number 1. Okay, number 1, you should read it as an addition problem, negative 20 plus 17. It is addition with different signs. So since they are different, we're going to circle the greatest absolute value and subtract. 20 minus 17 is 3. Our circled integer is negative, so our answer is negative 3. Try number 2. Number 2, you should read as negative 32 plus negative 27. Again, it's an addition problem. Since they have the same sign, they are both negative, you add them just like you would normally. 32 plus 27. You're going to get 59, and since both integers are negative, your answer is negative 59. For those of you who are still thinking of it as movement on a number line, it would be 32 movements to the left and then 27 more movements to the left. So that would get you 59 spaces or 59 units left of 0. Let's try number 3. 42 plus negative 9 plus negative 8. Now it's an addition problem, so you can use commutative property and you can reorder the numbers any way you want. So I'm going to work with the 2 negatives first. You don't have to do that, but I'm going to. So negative 9 plus negative 8, and we'll save the 42 for later. Negative 9 plus negative 8 would be just like number 2, where you are adding 2 negative numbers. 9 plus 8 is 17. Both are negative. Then I'm going to bring down what I didn't use yet, so it'll be 42 plus negative 17. So now it's like number 1, it's addition with different signs. So we're going to circle the greatest absolute value and subtract. 42 minus 17. You're going to get 25. And since the circled absolute value, the circled integer was positive, your answer is positive. So 42 plus negative 9 plus negative 8 is 25. Next, we're going to work with some rational numbers that are a little bit more complex, but those same rules of addition apply. And if we have a subtraction problem, matter of fact, let me throw a subtraction problem in there for you real quick. We'll call this a bonus question. If we have a subtraction problem like 6 minus negative 12, and you know it's subtraction because you hear yourself say minus. 6 minus negative 12. We have a rule for that. We have a trick that we use anytime that we do subtraction, and you can do it. It's called keep switch opposite, and what it does is it turns that subtraction problem into an addition problem. So if we keep the 6, we switch subtraction to addition, and then we take the opposite of negative 12, which would be positive 12. it gives us a solvable addition problem that gives us the same answer as the subtraction problem would. So 6 minus negative 12 is the same thing as 6 plus 12. It's 18. So you may see that rule being used on these three questions. All right, go ahead and try number 4. Number 4 says negative 8 plus 3 3/4. So we're going to keep the negative 8, and we're going to break this mixed number down, the 3 3/4. We're going to break it down into a 3 plus 3/4. It's going to make our problem easier to solve because now we have two integers to work with. I'm not going to show all the steps this time. This is negative 8 plus 3. So it's addition with different signs, meaning you would circle the greatest absolute value and subtract. 8 minus 3 is 5. And in this case, it's going to be negative because we have a circled integer that is negative. We're going to bring down the rest of the problem plus 3/4. And so this is negative 5 plus 3/4. We're going to use a number line. If this is negative 5, this would be negative 4. The fraction has a denominator of 4, which is going to tell us to chop this unit into 4 equal pieces. And then we just use the number line strategy. You always start at 0, but then you would move left 5 spaces, and that would put us here at negative 5. After that, it says plus 3/4. The 3/4 is positive, so it's going to move us to the right 3/4. Not 3 wholes, 3/4. So 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. And so our answer is going to be whatever this measurement is, whatever that value is. And so it would be between negative 4 and negative 5. It would be negative 4 and a little further to the left. It would be negative 4 and 1/4. Go ahead and try number 5. It may have a similar strategy. Okay, number 5, 2.5 minus 3 plus 3/4. Now we talked about if you have a minus sign out in front of parentheses like it is here, it can mean the opposite of. So we're going to try to use that as opposite of, see what we come up with. So it'll be 2.5. And then we want the opposite of 3, which is negative 3. And so we don't bring this down. When we do opposite of, we're using it, and it goes away. So the opposite of 3 is negative 3. But in our problem, it's going to look like a minus 3, and that's okay. Plus, we want the opposite of 3/4, which is negative 3/4. And now we're ready to solve. So we can break this mixed number down, the 2.5, we can break it down into a 2 plus 1/2 minus 3 plus negative 3/4. Then we can use the commutative property and we can rewrite this problem so the integers are next to each other. You look at each term by itself. So this is a 2, this is a positive half, this is minus or negative 3, and then we are adding a negative 3/4. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms that we can move around. So we're going to leave the 2 here. We're going to move the minus or negative 3 into this spot. We'll move the plus a half here. And we'll leave the plus negative 3/4 here. Alright. 2 minus 3 is what we're going to do first. And so you could do keep switch opposite. I'm going to jump over here. If I do keep switch opposite, 2 minus 3 becomes negative 1. And I'm going to rewrite everything else that would still be left. So this was negative 1. And we'll write everything else up here. We're going to bring all of this stuff up. Plus 1/2 plus negative 3/4. Alright, I'm going to leave the integer alone for now, and we're going to work with just the fractions. In order to work with the fractions, you need a common denominator. So this 1/2 needs to have a denominator of 4 so that we can work with it. So in order to do that, we multiplied by 2. So we will do the same thing in the numerator. And now we can work with the fractions. And you do that just like you do with integers. So the denominator is going to be 4 no matter what. And so we are doing 2 plus negative 3. 2 plus negative 3. Going a little faster now, not going to show all the steps. 2 plus negative 3 is negative 1. So all of this work right here becomes negative 1/4. And then we will bring down what we didn't use yet, negative 1 plus negative 1/4. Now, lessons ago, when we had a negative integer plus a negative fraction, you can just combine those into a negative mixed number. So our answer becomes negative 1 1/4. A lot of work, but having these rules lets us get the right answer. Negative 1 1/4. All right, try number 6. Alright, I'm running out of recording time, so we're going to go relatively quick on this one. 15 plus, we're going to break down this mixed number into a negative 12 and a negative 3/4. And we're going to break down this negative 2/4 into negative 2 and negative 1/4. Now, I'm going to rearrange all the integers. 15 plus negative 12 minus 2, and then the fractions are plus negative 3/4 minus 1/4. Alright, going through the integers quickly. 15 plus negative 12 is 3. If we bring this down, minus 2, 3 minus 2 is 1. So now we're done with everything except the fractions, and we're going to bring this addition sign down so we don't forget it. Now we're just working here. So negative 3/4 minus 1/4 is a subtraction problem. They have a common denominator. So really it's negative 3 minus 1. Negative 3 minus 1. I'm going to keep switch opposite. Negative 3 plus negative 1 is negative 4. So this becomes negative 4/4, also known as negative 1. So 1 plus negative 1, those are additive inverses. And our answer to that big confusing problem, number 6, is 0.